Nice to meet you too. It's really nice. So I wonder if we should just introduce ourselves for people who don't know who we are. I'm Teresa, and I'm a picture book author. So I've written lots of different picture books, and I've written some educational books too. Including some non-fiction books about food chains or potato.
Okay.
I've written quite a lot of these. You can see.
So this is Paula.
Hi.
And Honey, and I'm Karen. Paula can perhaps tell you a little bit about Honey.
Hello.
So Honey is one of our tawny owls, one of three which we have here at the sanctuary. She has been with us all her life. She's now 7 years old. Are you going to look at the camera? Good girl. We certainly find, crikey, we've got 82 resident owls.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, indeed. They all have different personalities, different characters, just like cats and dogs at home, for example. And a Honey, bless her, she's just adorable. She's got such a sweet nature about her.
Was she born at the sanctuary, or was she rescued? She was born.
No, she was actually born here with us, weren't you, Honey, at the sanctuary all those years ago.
Oh, she's beautiful, really beautiful. I can see why she's called Honey, because she's such a gorgeous honey colour.
I'm going to get a little closer, but yeah, she's got some beautiful different shades of golden colours, dark brown, light brown, but overall that kind of honey look, hasn't she? Honey colours. We actually have our very own owl hospital here on site, and the tawny owl is certainly the most common owl in Britain. They're doing really well. So we see more of these being admitted to the hospital than any other owl, purely because they're very common.
Right.
And you get to see a whole different range of colours. They all have individual markings, for example.
So you're from Screech Owl Sanctuary?
We are, yes. Myself and my husband, Kevin, we purchased the sanctuary at the end of December last year from the previous owners, Tom and Carolyn Screech, who'd were looking to retire after building up the sanctuary over 29 years. The sanctuary is in its 30th year of operation.
30 years?
Yeah.
And you've got owls, but you've got other animals as well, haven't you?
Yes. So we have owls, we have 2 emus, 3 alpacas.
Wow.
19 meerkats. I was just thinking, I'll forget somebody. The goats, the donkeys, and the ponies. And 3 raccoons. Yes, I knew I'd forget somebody.
I saw the raccoons on Facebook.
Mainly owls, yes. We have about between 70 and 80 owls in our aviaries that live with us at the moment. We have also got a buzzard and a red-tailed hawk as well.
And it's a hospital as well as a wildlife park, isn't it? So you look after.
Primarily as a sanctuary, but we also are open to the public, so the public can come and have a look around. They can have some experiences with the animals, with the owls, or with the other encounters with the meerkats and the raccoons. But we also, say the work of the hospital goes on all year round in the background, and obviously all year round the animals need to be fed and cleaned. Paula's one of our permanent staff, and how long have you been here, Paula?
10 years working here now with the owls. It's not like a job, it is a pleasure.
Fantastic. And how has it been over lockdown for you? It must have been tricky.
It's been very tough, yes. We were shut for 3 months. Initially furloughed all of the staff, so Kevin was here by himself. He had a bit of a crash course in how to feed and care for all of the animals. Yes, 44 in total, I think, by the time we'd added it up. Feeding, cleaning, sorting out for about a month or so. We were then able to do a bit of crowdfunding and things, and Paula came back to work to help with some of the birds and things. As the government changed regulations, we were able to look at what we could do. So we started to get the birds back flying, extra support with the hospital, which Paula was able to provide. And then we were able to reopen to the public on the 6th of July. But also the local community, it's been amazing. Everybody locally has turned up with food, leftover food for the raccoons and the other animals. The owls have their specific diet, but everybody else is quite happy with the fruit and veg and things that people used to leave in a bin by the door. Fortunately, being able to maintain that care for the owls and the other animals.
Really good. And if people want to donate to the sanctuary, they can do so on your website, can't they?
Yeah, on our website, there's a button that says support our work, and there's an option there to donate.
Good.
That would be very welcome.
Okay.
Or they can come and visit if they're down in Cornwall.
Yeah, well, I would love to come and visit, but
you'd be more than welcome.
I'm in Oxford at the moment, not in Cornwall, but I hope to be. I'd love to come.
We've shared a little bit about ourselves, but what about yourself, Teresa? What brought you to thinking about owls and the ideas for the Wonder Tree?
That's why we're talking, really, isn't it? Because
we've got one here.
It's a story about two owls, a little owl and its mummy, but it's also about the tree and about the natural world. And I came to write it because I was watching this documentary called Nature's Greatest Survivor about an old oak tree, 400-year-old oak tree.
Wow.
And that really got me thinking about how old that tree was and all the life that it had seen and all the life that it supported and what it would be like to living in those branches with all this big community of animals getting on or not. I went through all sorts of animals, actually. I went through like caterpillars, foxes, all sorts of different options, but then I settled on owls because I don't know, there's something very mysterious about them because you don't necessarily always see them in the day. Is that right? They normally are awake. I mean, obviously honey is awake now.
210-ish species of owl are all around the world, and about 70% are certainly nocturnal.
But I like the idea of an owl going to bed. Having to go to sleep in an opposite way to when a child would be going to bed. Izzy Burton has done the illustrations.
Very beautiful illustrations.
Beautiful,
we've had it for sale in our shop and it's doing really well. We've sold a good number of copies.
Oh, thank
you. And people, pick it up and they love the richness of the colours.
Yeah, absolutely. It's her first picture book, Wow. She's illustrated, and I love the way so it starts off in the daylight, and then it gradually, the light starts to dim. Yeah, but the other thing, there's a bit in the Wonder Tree where the mummy talks about my mummy and daddy lived here too.
Yeah.
And that is a bit about, because my dad had died a few months before I wrote this book. And so I was trying to make sense of time and how things survive, like trees, trees like that will be around for long after we're around. And that was happening to me to make sense of all that time that the tree would see all sorts of things that over people's lifetimes, and I really found a lot of comfort in that. So there's a little bit of my dad in there as well. It's dedicated to him. So let me see, what are my questions? So what's your favourite species of owl in your sanctuary? Do you have a favourite species, or is it impossible to say because they're all so lovely?
I've always loved the barn owls. I think they're incredibly gracious birds in flight, that beautiful white plumage, for example, which is quite striking compared to many other species. So for me, a barn owl is definitely a firm favourite.
We have a number of owls from the Moorpock family of boobox. They're from New Zealand. They're sort of not much bigger than honey, a little smaller maybe than honey, but they have a lovely sort of very reddish colour to their feathers and things, and lovely, much bigger round eyes.
And is there a particular owl who has a personality that demands to be noticed?
There's a few on the flying team, aren't there? But
I said, every single one has got a personality, a character. They all differ. There's a particularly challenging owl which we work with. He's called Joe. He's a Eurasian eagle owl, which is the largest species of owl. So he's very big. He's 11 years old, and hopefully he could be with us till about 40.
Wow.
So he's almost going through the teenage stage of his life, and yes, age and behaviour, it can be closely related. He's got a loving personality, but he can often be a little bit naughty, and I think that's what I love about him. The fact that he's got a mind of his own. He is part of our display team, so he nearly every day he'll come out, he'll put on a flying display for people visiting, and some days he's absolutely brilliant. Other days he will fly off and just sit in a tree, and people think that's hilarious that the owl's gone and sat in the tree.
It means that we lose our staff for about 4 hours while they try to get him back and watch him and make sure he's okay and things. So,
but it's just that little cheeky side of him, which I think I like about it.
I've got a question about the releases, but I just wanted to ask about all these names, because you've got lots of lovely names for them. Who names them, and how do they get their names?
We don't actually always name them.
Right.
Many of our birds have come as rescues, which doesn't always mean they've been badly treated. I mean, falconry is a great hobby to have, and sometimes people have the birds, sometimes for various different reasons. They need to find them a home, and that's what we're all about. If we can accommodate them, we'll provide a home for them. So some of them do come with their name originally. We also have some pairs, and we've had some that have hatched here. Baby owls are great fun. They're like puppies. They're playful. They're cheeky, a little bit naughty. And of course, all the public which come to meet them. It's great to get them socialised with people at that very young age. And you often find somebody falls in love with them very, very quickly. And as part of the sanctuary, you can adopt or sponsor the owls and animals we have. And whoever does the first sponsorship on a young owl, for example, we let them choose the name for it. So it's something that they go away and sometimes think about. So we've had some very interesting names. I know you asked about a favourite owl for personality. One of the favourite owls I have here, purely because of his name, is Al Capone. Which was chosen by his adopter, his sponsor, and we thought that was a great name to have, Al Capone.
He certainly lives up to it, though, doesn't he?
Yes, he
does.
You do all sorts of shady deals. And
our newest addition to the sanctuary, talk about sort of naming owls, is a little baby Indian Scops owl that was born here 2 months ago?
Yes, back in June.
He was born with a bit of a birth defect. He's got an issue with one of his eyes.
Oh, I saw a picture of him on Facebook.
So he's all clouded over his eye, and so he, by default, I don't know whether it was Zoe or Kevin, but he's ended up being called Captain Morgan because he looks a bit like a pirate's best friend. after the runs that they both perhaps enjoy the Antipolo.
And then what happens when you release them? Does that, because I've really enjoyed looking at the videos of you releasing them on Facebook. Is that sad when you say goodbye to them? I had a little lump in my throat as I saw them heading into the distance.
Indeed. I would say more emotional than sad. I never feel sad because, of course, any we release, they've come to us from the wild, which often members of the public may have found sick or injured. It's never a sad thing to see the owl released back into the wild where it should be. So it's more rewarding than sad, because to see one fly back out into the wild, back into the woodlands, if it's a tawny owl, for example.
A lot of the owls that have come to us maybe from other falconers who've maybe sort of stopped wanting their owls, or from other establishments that are sort of moving their owls on, those owls will stay with us in their aviaries. The owls we release are the ones that, as Paula said, have come in from members of the public who found them on the roadside or out on their walks in the woods. If they're really young, they can stay with us for 3 or 4 months before we feel they're strong enough to be released. Very carefully make a note of where they come from so that we can release them as close to where they came from as possible. So it's where they belong. If somebody phones us up about an owl, the first thing we'll probably advise them to do is leave it be if possible, unless it looks obviously injured, because the best place for them to be is out in the wild. If it looks obviously injured, if they can approach it and pick it up, then it probably needs a little bit of intervention for a while. Days, depending on its condition in the hospital, then it will move into the rehabilitation aviaries and then into the flight aviary to establish its sort of strength before we actually release it. Quite a detailed process that Paul and the team go through with the birds.
Honey's being very patient.
Yes.
I mean, in honesty,
well, isn't she?
Owls in general, they can spend many hours just sat on a branch of a tree, not literally watching the world go by. So this one, she's got an incredible temperament, personality. I think she's liking the limelight today as well.
Do you have a particularly favourite owl? Did you have an owl in mind as you wrote the book?
My husband's a real bird watcher, so I know a tiny bit about birds from him, but I love the is it the European eagle-eared owls with their little tufty, they look like ears but they're not ears, is that right?
They have ear tufts, which to give them the correct term, it's plumicorns.
Plumicorn.
Plumical.
That's a new word for you.
Absolutely.
Plumical.
But in general, they're called an ear tuft.
Right.
Nothing to do with their hearing at all. You'll see, for example, the tawny owls, they don't have the ear tufts. Various species do, various species don't. Near enough every single eagle owl, there's about 28 or so different species of eagle owl, all have ear tufts.
Right.
Basically great for helping them camouflage in the wild, breaking up the outline, for example, to give them camouflage.
That's interesting. Also, the barn owl. I think I once saw a barn owl at dusk flying, and it was just amazing. It was sort of spooky and quite ethereal, because they're so silent, and
yes,
this gorgeous white shape. But I've heard their call on, and it's quite a shocking call.
It's quite an eerie call. Indeed.
So they're really, they seem very mysterious and magical.
Yes.
I have a lovely memory of a Scops owl calling. No, it's a little owl. When we were on holiday in Crete, this tiny little owl calling. So I've got a very lovely memory of that. But I think it has to be a tawny owl, really, because I think they're so good. Their feathers are such a gorgeous range of colours. And I think for this book, I wanted to have something that was native to the UK, and that it would be because that was what I was thinking about when I wrote the book.
Indeed, as you said, the barn owls tend to have that kind of eerie, almost a screeching tone to their call. This one is what I call more of the classic, almost the twit-twoo kind of call. They also have a quick that they often use as well.
I've heard that. I've heard a quick, and I've also heard a woohoo.
That's the tawny owl. So we often say this is the owl you hear, but you really struggle to see them. They just have that amazing camouflage. Which literally allows them to disappear into their background in the wild.
So you mentioned you had a more vocal owl. Who would that have been if it was a vocal?
At the sanctuary, Angel.
What does Angel do? What does
Angel? She's one of our barn owls.
Mm-hmm.
She's not, however, a British barn owl. She looks a little bit different to the British barn owl. She has basically no white feathers like you would expect to see on a barn owl. She's actually called the ashy-faced barn owl.
Okay.
Barn owls are certainly the most widely distributed bird in the world. You'll find them on practically every continent except for the South Pole. The Angel's an ashy-faced barn owl. She is a Caribbean species.
Okay.
So not particularly big, but she's got the biggest set of lungs in the sanctuary.
Right.
And
hear her everywhere.
Everywhere you go, you'll hear her. She basically likes a lot of attention, and she'll call to get it. But she also still has the same call as the British barn owl, that high-pitched screeching.
Yeah.
So after you've had that all day,
must be interesting.
you look forward to hearing a twit-twoo instead. So.
Look, we've got a twit-twoo right at the end, haven't we?
Oh, yes.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Indeed.
What do you think, honey? Do you think me like it?
Indeed.
Bless her.
Oh, well, it's been lovely having a chat with you. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you for sort of thinking of us and involving us in the process. So,
pleasure. Well, thank you very much. I better say goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Paula. Bye-bye, Karen. And bye-bye, honey.
We got to go bye. We got a little wave.
Oh, my goodness. There you go.
Wow.
All right.